Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the MCC bull bars versus the Alpha bull bars, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll know exactly which bar is best for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now this video is going to be extremely detailed, guys. Both of these bars have their pros and cons, so we're going to be discussing all of these sections, so make sure to skip through if you don't want to watch the whole video. Otherwise, sit back and relax. Right guys, so before we get stuck into the topics, it's worth mentioning this is the MCC Falcon bull bar, which is the best one to compare to the Alpha bull bar because it's sort of the budget option of the MCC bull bars. You also have the more expensive Phoenix options that comes with different sort of modifications to it, small bits and pieces that's different to the Falcon bull bar, but all in all, it's very much the same. So the first topic is aesthetics. Now when you look at the MCC bull bar, it's a very traditional look of bull bars, and the only modern aspect about it has to be the LED fog lights that's integrated into the bar. Both the MCC and the Alpha bull bar also come with indicator lights and also fog lights. Now this is the Alpha Predator bull bar. Now there's two options. You have the Predator bull bar and you also have the pack bar. The pack bar comes with the loops, and the Predator bull bar doesn't have any loops like this one here. So as you can see, this is a much more modern design and it really suits the Pajero well. So if I have to pick between the two, I would say the Alpha bull bar is definitely better looking than the MCC bull bar. In terms of build quality, both of these bars are made out of steel and they also have ADR approval, because that is very important here in Australia to be legal on the road. They are both powder coated as well. The Alpha bull bar has a more sort of rougher style powder coating to it, whereas the MCC bull bar has a more glossy powder coating style to it. Overall guys, both of these bars are very well made, but I have to say MCC has reinforced their bar a bit better in terms of welding. So I'd have to say the MCC is a little bit stronger than the Alpha bull bar, but that's just me being very critical. All right, let's now talk about the recovery points. So as you can see, it still has the factory recovery points. Fun fact, there's actually no aftermarket recovery points available for the Pajero, so that's why it still has the factory tow hooks. Now, one problem with the MCC bull bar is that the bar comes with a skid plate. Now this skid plate is bolted on the bottom of the bull bar just to complete the look of the whole bull bar. However, it is in the way. As you can see, the recovery tow hook is behind it and it's sort of upwards, so the bar actually sits lower than the hook. Now the problem is with that, if someone's going to pull you out and they're going to hook a strap onto this tow hook and there's going to be tension, it's actually going to hit the skid plate and it's definitely going to bend it upwards. I have no doubts about that. So yes, that's definitely a flaw. However, you can also remove it, so it's not going to look as good, but you can remove it if it becomes a problem, and you also gain a little bit more clearance by doing that as well. But for now, we're just leaving it as is. With the Alpha bull bar though, they actually supply additional tow hooks. So essentially what happens is there is the winch cradle, the original tow hook, and then they have an additional tow hook they supply, which actually clamps to the winch cradle. Now the thing about those tow hooks, they aren't rated. I've never used them, so I can't comment on how strong they are. They are quite thick and steel, but I haven't tested them. They aren't rated, so that is just to keep things in mind. However, of course, because the bar is designed in a certain way, there's a lot more clearance, and when someone's going to snatch you out, it won't hit the bar or bend anything. So Alpha has definitely done a better design in that aspect. Right, so let's talk about airflow. Now with the MCC bull bar, the only way you can get airflow through is through the grill, and there's one section right here. The thing is, if you have a winch installed as well, the airflow is again restricted. There's also no flow coming from the sides as it's blocked by the lights, so that is not very good. The Alpha bull bar, on the other hand, has ample airflow, so it's coming from the sides, it's coming from the front. So in terms of design, Alpha has definitely better designed their bull bar for airflow. So if you're going to do a lot of off-roading, towing, that sort of stuff, the Alpha bull bar will be the better choice to go for. Speaking of airflow, if you ever wanted to upgrade your intercooler or upgrade it to a front mount intercooler in particular, there is so much room behind the MCC bull bar. This bull bar has been designed so there's so much room over there, and the winch sort of sits to the front. So the good thing is you can get a really big intercooler to sit behind the grille, which is awesome. For the Alpha bull bar, yes, you can also buy a front mount intercooler and it will fit, but let's talk about the next topic. Right, so that brings us to the next topic, which is winch compatibility. Now the good thing is both of these bars are winch compatible. However, the MCC bull bar has a slight edge over the Alpha bull bar, and here's why. So with the MCC bull bar, like I mentioned, the winch compartment sits a bit more forward. So the good thing about that is it leaves more room for a front mount intercooler and a transmission cooler if you wanted to do both, and you won't have any issues. However, with the Alpha bull bar, the winch cradle does bolt to the chassis, which means it sits a bit further back. So you'll either have to compromise on the front mount intercooler or the winch. So unfortunately you can't have both. If you have a big front mount intercooler, there's not going to be enough room for a winch to fit. Or if you have a big winch, you can't have a big front mount intercooler, and there's definitely not going to be any room for a transmission cooler as well. So that's where the MCC bull bar is definitely better. Now in terms of winch, we went with the carbon winch. This is the 12K winch, which is awesome. Few reasons why we went with the carbon winch is because it's very reliable. It's the lightest winch on the market, and it's a 12,000 pound winch, which means it's strong enough for just about anything we wanted to get out of it. So yes, that's the main reasons why we went with the carbon winch and why the MCC is a bit better than the Alpha bar. One thing I almost forgot to mention though, when you install a winch to your bull bar, make sure with the MCC bull bar you do it all at the same time, just because you can't put a winch onto the MCC bull bar without taking it off. So the whole bar needs to come off, the winch put on, put back. So when you install a bull bar and you want a winch, make sure to do it all at the same time. With the Alpha bull bar though, if you already have the bar on and you decide to get a winch, the awesome thing is you can just screw this front section off and you can put the winch in. So that is awesome, and that is definitely a good thing for the Alpha bar. So the next topic is about the amount of mounts that's available on the bars, and also how customizable this bar is. So with the MCC bull bar, you have the UHF mounts on the loop, so 2 of them, and also in the middle here you have mounts for things like spotlights or LED light bars. When you compare this bar to the pack bar from Alpha, so the pack bar has loops as well. The thing about the loops, it sort of comes into the middle, but the middle bit goes where the mounts are available on the Predator bar. So if you have the Predator bar with no loops, then you have the mounts there available for spotlights, light bars, and you also have an additional loop that you can buy with the Predator bar that can house an additional light bar as well. Or inside the bar, you can also fit a 22-inch slim light bar. So overall, the Alpha bar is a little bit better, just because you can customize the bar and make it look as good as you want it, or as how you prefer. Whereas with the MCC bull bar, this is what it looks like, this is what you're gonna get. But the good thing about this bar, again, it does have loops, but it still has mounts in the middle for spotlights and light bars. So both have their pros and cons. Right, so let's talk about the approach angle on these bull bars. So let's start with the MCC. When you look at it from the side, you can see the bar sort of comes to the middle of the tire. So there's not a lot of clearance between the bar and the ground. Because the winch also comes out further with this bar, that sort of decreases the approach angle, which is again not a good thing for this bar. The other thing as well, with the skid plate, when you remove it, you actually gain 60 mil of clearance. So that is quite a bit. So what I would recommend, if you have the MCC bull bar and you do a lot of off-roading, remove that, just because you gain the extra 60 mil in clearance, and then you'll also have better access to your recovery hooks in case you need it to be pulled out by a mate. That said, I've been off-road in this bar, but I managed to hit my bash plates and not the skid plate just yet, but I reckon it's only a matter of time before the dip is too deep and I'm gonna crash into the ground with it. So we'll see how we go. With the Alpha bull bar though, as you can see on the side, there's a lot more clearance between the bar and the ground, and because the bar also sits backwards a bit further, that also increases the approach angle. So overall, the Alpha bull bar is better in this department. Right guys, so let's talk about the ease of installation. Now with the MCC bull bar, you need to cut your front bumper to suit the bull bar. It does come with instructions on how to do it, but if you're not confident, guys, send it to someone else, because if they stuff it up, they need to fix it. But if you cut it incorrectly, there's going to be a gap between the bar and your bumper. So just make sure it's done properly, just so it looks perfect. With the Alpha bull bar, there's no modifications that needs to be done. It just bolts up. However, some Pajeros did come with a one-piece fender that sort of integrates with the bumper. If that's the case, then all you need to do is cut the fender to suit. That's all you need to do. So it's a little bit easier to fit than the MCC bull bar. That said, the MCC bull bar comes with instructions. Alpha does not provide instructions, and you sort of have to guess where all the bolts go, and some of the bolts needs to be reused on the car as well. Alpha did make an installation video, and we also made an installation video, so hopefully that will help you fit the bar easier than trying to figure it out by yourself as well. Right guys, and then last but not least is price and the weight of the bull bar. So with the MCC bull bar, currently you're looking at $1,900 with fog lights, or $1,700 without the fog lights, and it's about 65 kilos. Keep in mind, this is the budget option. You also have the Phoenix model, which is a bit more fancier, and that is over $2,000. In my opinion, I don't think it's worth it. It sort of depends what you like. With the Alpha bull bar, you have the Predator bar without the loops. That's pretty light. It's about 55 to 60 kilos. And then the pack bar is about 60 to 65 kilos. So it's very similar. The Predator bar starts at $1,350 and the pack bar is about $1,500. So it's very similar, and it all comes down to how much freight is. So if you're gonna order a bar from Alpha, it comes from WA. So if you send it to Brisbane, it's gonna cost a lot more in freight than it would cost for this bar to be shipped to Brisbane, because these guys are just down south. So if price is a factor, just make sure you price up freight and the product cost, just so you know what the final price will be. So there you go guys, that is a wrap up for this video. Hopefully I explained everything in detail so that you know exactly which bar is best for you. If I would recommend one or the other, I would say go MCC if you're going to be doing a lot of touring, just because it has all the bells and whistles. It has your UHF mounts, spotlight mounts. It has so much room for a winch, front mount intercooler and transmission cooler, all that sort of stuff. So it's awesome for touring. However, if you're going to spend a lot of your time or most of your time off-road, I would definitely go the Alpha bull bar, just because it looks awesome and has a heap more clearance than this bull bar. So you're not going to damage anything, and it's still winch compatible as well, which is awesome. But yeah, at the end of the day, we went MCC bull bar just because the Alpha bull bar was out of stock at the time when we built this Pajero, and that's literally why we went with the MCC bull bar. No regrets, it's an awesome bar. I would definitely recommend both bull bars. So yes, hopefully this video helped guys, but if you have any other questions, make sure to drop it down below and let me know which bull bar would you go for and why. But thanks for watching, legends. If you want to grab a bar yourself, make sure to get in touch with us and we can hook you up with one of these bars. Thanks guys, have a good one.